Welcome to the Retirement Evolved podcast with certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno.
We are back, and I am fired up today, Lauren. Episode 45. That means we're 5 away from 50. Do you have anything special planned for 50?
Oh, you know I have something special planned
boy.
for 50.
Not another Ask Adam, I hope.
You never know.
Everybody loved that episode, but I'm still a little, that was a lot, right? All right, this week in history, 600, meaning the year 600.
Yes.
Pope Gregory the Great decrees saying God bless you is the correct response to a sneeze. So that's where that started. Interesting. Yeah, now it's just bless you because, of course, we take God out of everything in our country now, right? So that's a whole other story. 1861, Abraham Lincoln stops his train at Westfield on his way to Washington to thank 11-year-old Grace Bedell in person for her advice to grow a beard to gain more votes.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. I should get a ton of votes then with my beard, right? It's fabulous. 1896, first U.S. newspaper comic strip, Richard Felton's Outcults the Yellow Kid, is published in William Randolph Hearst's New York Journal. And in 1946, the first commercially designed helicopter is tested in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I've always wanted to ride in a helicopter. I haven't yet. 1963, Beatles top British rock charts with Please, Please Help Me. Right? Is that how it goes? No, that's probably not how it goes.
I don't think so.
The title of the song was Please, Please Me. All right, 1968, U.S. first 911 phone system goes into service in Haleyville, Alabama. Interesting, right? Alabama.
Imagine not having the 911 if an emergency happened. What do you do? Ride your horse to go see the sheriff or something?
Well, it is 1968, so that's, forget the horse. I think we're driving.
So you're driving.
Yeah, we're driving something. All right, but I always say what to that. Oh, speaking of which.
We got a little say what?
Say what?
2 people are dead after a small plane crash onto a Florida highway Friday afternoon after reportedly experiencing dual engine failure, authority says. This happened right in our hometown of Southwest Florida, Naples, Florida. The aircraft crashed onto Interstate 75 near Naples around 3:15. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, it collided with a vehicle.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the one that hit the barrier wall too, right? It bounced off the car and hit the barrier wall.
Yep.
Barrier wall on the other side of the. So we have the middle of the road, the median, right? The middle that separates the two sides of 75. Yeah. But then they had that retaining wall around that community where it crashed, and then it crashed into the wall, too.
And there were 5 people on the plane. 3 people survived the crash.
Really?
Yes, there were. So, pretty crazy. So, according to the FFA, which is investigating the crash with the National Transportation Safety Board, the flight originated at Ohio State University Airport in Columbus, Ohio. The preliminary information we have is that the pilot radioed that the airplane had a dual engine failure on approach into the Naples airport. And that was last Friday.
So it says, you're saying here in the notes that there's 2 confirmed fatalities in the crash. 3 people survived, but their condition is unknown. So
I'm sure it's been updated since last Friday.
Right.
Pretty crazy. I heard that they were good. They walked away from it. So
wow. So introducing the newest member of our team, I feel like I should mention if you are an Ohio State fan, that is, in poor taste. I'm sorry. So the newest member of our team, who we're very, very excited to have, he is a chartered financial analyst, and he also has owned his own RIA before, much like we have. And he is an amazing addition to the team because you might not know this, but I am a very religious person, although I don't, throw my faith around. But Tom's addition to the team, now we have little Bible studies in the morning. He's also a very Christian guy, so brought a whole new element to our team. And that's part of the reason that I'm just so happy to have him. And he actually has a heart for helping families. Walked away from his RIA and because all he wanted to do was be able to meet with families and provide value, which I thought was an amazing story. You don't meet many people who say, I walked away from an RIA that I owned because I, not because of success levels, but because I really got tired of not being able to give the families the service that they needed. So his name is Tom Johnson. We're very happy to have him. Yeah. Wait a minute. That's right. And Tom, first of all, welcome to the podcast. We kind of sprung this on you today and said, hey, let's throw him on the podcast. Why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about your background, because you've got a really fascinating story.
Perfect. I feel so welcome to be part of the team. And so I've been told, I guess, that I'm a little bit of a rarity. I'm over the age of 40, and I was actually born here. So I was born in Lee Memorial Hospital. I've lived throughout the Midwest and Boston, though, but moved back to the area. My whole family still lives here. And so I'm blessed to be able to do this in the community that I grew up in. Professionally, the first time I left Florida, we already referenced the Big Ten and Ohio State, was to get my MBA at Purdue. Then I spent about 10 years in corporate America and financial management at 3 Fortune 500 companies, but I always knew something was kind of missing. I read the book, The Purpose-Driven Life, and I'm like, my purpose is not to make corporate profits.
Right.
I wanted to help people. So at that time, I'm like, I need to open my own firm. I wanted to do it what I thought was the right way in my way. So I decided to get my CFA, which you already alluded to, which is a minimum of a 3-year process, because I wanted to be able to analyze individual stocks, put together portfolios, and do, custom financial planning based on, each person's risk tolerance and circumstances and things like that. So I opened up my own IRA firm, very similar to Evolution in that the focus was on those in retirement. Secondarily, I also focused a little more on the people within 10 years of retirement. So the pre-retirement market too, where, as we always talk about, where the goal was just to grow the biggest nest egg, performance-based and all that. And then it shifts dramatically in retirement to the distribution phase. So my firm was a little more performance-based. What I love about Evolution is your goals, and family-based, and families first always.
Appreciate that, Tom. Something you said was very important there. You were talking about the distribution phase. So what I want to make sure everybody realizes is, Tom wasn't sure that he even wanted to come back into this business again. And one of our families kind of introduced us to him. It was a very soft introduction. They said they knew that we were looking for another person, like me, because it's gotten a little bit hectic around here, right?
It's been a little crazy.
A little crazy, and we still wanted to be able to provide that high level of service. And luckily, our family member that came in said to us, I know someone, and I think he really kind of fits what you're doing here. And that family that we work with has known since the beginning that this place is definitely very different, and with the service orientation we have. So Tom, called me on the phone. He reached out via email, and he gave me a call. I told him, give me a call. Let's talk. And we called and we talked. And right away, there was just that synergy of you can tell this person has a heart for helping other people. And what I loved to hear was, I don't want to run my own business. I don't want to do any of that anymore. I just want to be able to sit in front of clients and help them with their situation, which I loved hearing, because you don't get that a lot. And let's remember, Tom is 52 years old, even though he looks like he's 38, and I'm 42 years old. So there's a 10-year difference.
He had to put his age out there.
Yes.
But I'm,
Well, there was a reason for that, right? Like, what 52-year-old guy that's got a CFA, all this experience, the Fortune 500 experience, comes into a place and talks to a 42-year-old guy and says, I love what you're doing. He had no arguments for what we were doing, which I was surprised. And even when he joined the team, I'm like, oh boy, this might take a little while, because he's had so much experience and now he's got to listen to somebody who's only been doing this for 10 or 15 years. And we never got to that point, because we agreed so much on the distribution phase being one of them, which he was using terms that we already use, which I thought was really impressive. So, I'm just so excited to have him here. It's really a blessing to be able to have a team member like that. And that was one of the reasons why you approached us, was you felt like the team was the biggest part of what we're doing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love what you've done with the team and how you've constructed the team. Every single person is in a place they're passionate about and has the heart to help people, which is what we do at the heart of every single thing, every single interaction, this podcast as an example.
Right.
And then I love that you've created a team that also has the CPAs, the estate planning experts available too. So there's no one we can't, help.
And I think that's why we get along so well, is because at some point we both realize we really got to put our egos aside here, and if we really want to help people, because that's the step that a lot of these other firms don't take. And obviously, you know how I feel about some of the firms in this area, right? If you want to see an ego, just go talk to them for 5 minutes, right? It's just, Our families have told us that, to be fair. It's not just me or our opinion. It's families have told us that they can tell the difference when they sit in those chairs. You know, I always keep a box of Kleenex on the desk, right? I'm telling you, we got to make sure we have the Kleenex there. So it's definitely exciting. You know, why don't you tell everybody, because we do have our families listening, but we also get newer families in. We talk about the team. What did you feel like your role is now that you're here? Now that you've had a couple months to acclimate yourself, what do you feel like your role is and your best contribution to the team right now?
Well, it's actually only been a couple weeks, but
Has it been a couple weeks? It feels like it's been forever. Sorry, Tom.
that's okay. Well, I don't know if that's a good sign. It feels like it's been forever or not. But my role is basically I'm kind of like a hybrid of you and Kurt.
Right.
So I'll be participating in the workshops and doing first appointments, second appointments, running the numbers, and doing things like that too. So I get to do the two things that I love doing, which is meeting with families, helping them, but then also diving into the numbers. I like, I have a dual passion for both. I love numbers, but I only love them when it applies to helping someone.
Right. Well, you do in contrast to that, you also enjoy the stock market. You love doing the research. You have your own
100%.
Investments that you and you've got a lot of experience doing it. Me, I don't. I like talking to people. I like helping people. I don't like the numbers as much. I like the numbers a little bit more in the insurance world just because it's a better fit for me. It's what I understand. But I also like that we use institutional management rather than you or Kurt or myself sitting behind the desk and trying to time Apple or Amazon, right? It's just, how has that been for you, making that transition to not necessarily building the portfolios yourself, but having the ability to kind of manage the managers now? Well, how do you feel about that?
I love that because if you try to time the market and beat the market long enough, you'll realize that it's virtually impossible to do it consistently. So that was definitely a big part of not having an ego. But I love that you guys have access to like private equity, private credit, and different opportunities that as a smaller firm, I didn't have. Because private equity and private credit for that matter can be uncorrelated to the market. So you get better diversification, and private equity and private credit have outperformed the market since 1986 by a tremendous amount. So I'm much better able to use managers and use pieces of the puzzle to both reduce risk and increase returns and do it in a tax efficient manner.
Right.
Yeah. So, Tom, we were just talking about how, you're this big numbers guy. Could you tell us a little bit more about how that came to be and speak to that a little bit? Has that always been something that you've been interested in?
Yes. I was a mathlete in elementary school.
I'm sorry, you were a what?
A mathlete.
A mathlete.
So is my mom.
Sue was a mathlete
She was part
too?
of the math club, yeah.
Oh, math club. So it's like a math club. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant you did a lot of math and you were an athlete too. So it's like an actual club, mathlete.
Well,
It shows you how well I did with math in school.
and it's kind of making fun of yourself, but yes, I enjoyed math and competed in math competitions and things like that. And interestingly, again, said that I was born here. I bought my first stock at the age of 14. So again,
Oh my gosh.
as Adam already referenced, I'm old. So back at 14.
I was going to say, that's got to be worth $1 million now. Then,
Yeah,
right?
I wish. I bought my first stock. It was a local company. So my mom owned a hair shop and she had a client who had a Merrill Lynch broker. So we had to call up on our old rotary phone.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that was the that one where you the circle on it. They had okay, all
and
right.
place an order for, back then you had to buy 100 shares of everything. The name of the company was Twisty Treat. There's still a location. It had little ice cream cones.
Yes.
Oh, I remember
know,
that. They were like in the
yeah.
little huts in front
Yeah.
of
We
us.
went
There's
all
still one, yeah.
all the time.
We had
when
one
were
in North
kids.
Fort Myers, yeah.
Yeah. So that was like one of the original ones. I bought it for $2 a share. The commission probably cost me, more than $200.
Yeah.
And it immediately went to $5. The broker said, you may want to take some off. I said, no, I got this. So it eventually went to $0. But so that was
So
early.
it did not
life
have a
lesson.
happy ending then.
But that was my first experience. And yeah, so I was hooked from that point forward. So
wow. And the interesting thing about that is you bring up numbers and things like that, but you actually don't put us to sleep when you talk about numbers, which is so important to us. And the biggest thing that we pride ourselves on here is the ability to relate the material, to make sure that everybody understands when they're sitting in front of us. Interestingly enough, you talk about, you were talking about private equity, private lending, that kind of thing. What I love about that, and it's completely 30,000 foot view as opposed to being in the numbers. I did not know that private lending is beating the market. Since what year did you say?
Since from 1986 to 2022, which is the latest data that they have on that.
That's why he's the right guy for the team. I don't even know if Kurt knew that. Anyway, the reason I love it so much is it gave us another few options where our families were not correlated directly to the market, because in retirement, the secret to our success, and it's not really a secret, the secret has been, first of all, being goal oriented, which is left off the table a lot of the times. We had a meeting the other day. The young lady really didn't have an idea of where she wanted to go. She had a lot of things going on. We were able to really talk about that. And sometimes you have to get personal and talk about what people's goals are. So number one is finding the goals. But number two, the other secret is having different options for those goals. One size does not fit all. Let me build you a portfolio of just stocks, right? I mean, that's a horrible idea for people that are in retirement, because it's wholly market correlated, right? We don't know what the market's going to do. We can't time the market. Nobody can do that, right? Now, you bring up the names like Ray Dalio, all these guys that are called unicorns in the market. How many of them are actually directly invested in the market? A lot of it is, like you said, the private lending space. So interesting that you brought that number up, but that's why I love you, because you can kind of validate everything that I'm already seeing on this high level. And you and Kurt have the beautiful ability to kind of tie that into, actually, that's a good idea. So it's a nice synergy here for that.
Yeah. And, we did talk about in episode 44 a little bit, with Kurt about the liquid strategies, which was another, sector of not being totally correlated to the market.
Yeah. And what it's more correlated to the market, that particular fund, right? But to your point, it's being actively managed. Correct. Rather than just setting it there. And everything that's happening now is called rebalancing, right? All of these investments, you leave them there, right, Tom? And then quarterly they get rebalanced maybe, but that doesn't mean they're being actively managed.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And typically what you'll see, the value of the services like we bring is since 2009, when the market has pretty much gone up, everybody seems to do well, right? But the value, the more value of active management is when the markets are going down, and at some point they have to.
Correct.
Yeah,
I think it was Kurt was telling me, what was it, 3 days ago, the market went down.
Yes.
So the families that were in liquid strategies with us, they didn't go down at all, because liquid strategies had already gone to cash. So they had already kind of pulled away and said, whoa, wait a minute. And then it's not that they're trying to time the market. It's just that they see these trends of, okay, this is going to be a little hiccup. We're not sure. And that's what I love about it. We're not sure. Better safe than sorry. Let's just go to cash, right? So that's that whole idea there, which I really liked. The other thing that I loved, you surprised me the other day too, which is what I love. You just keep surprising me. We were at the workshop and we were talking about how, if somebody has $500,000 in an IRA, it's not really $500,000. And I'll talk about that a lot, because I just think it's so important. You open up your statements on your computer, you're seeing this big number, but if you were to pull it out all at once, it's a significantly lower number. You talked about, right now we're in this lower tax environment. You were actually the one who kind of brought to light what is going to happen in 2026 when we talk about those tax. Loved what you had to say. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So right now we are historically low, and in 2026 we're going to go back to the 2016 rates. So right now the top bracket is 37%. That's going to go up to 39.6. Many people are in that 22% bracket. That's going to go to 25. Many people are in the 24. That's going to 28. And that's, just the start.
And we know that is definitively happening. What I don't know, and I don't know if you have any insight to this, since we've had the last 3 years of such a high inflation number, does that affect the future tax rates in 2026? Do they say, well, wait a minute, we had 3 years of inflation, and based on the 2016 rules, taxes can go up based on the inflation category, right? So is there a possibility that it's even higher than that because of inflation?
There definitely is a possibility. My guess is it probably won't happen, because that's already enough of an increase. that it's going to be a shock to the people who aren't aware of it. So that's my personal opinion. But if anything, so that's the low end. So if anything, it could be higher for sure. So plan in advance.
Plan accordingly. Well, the other thing that I loved is we left the workshop and you made a comment about how you couldn't believe how many people just didn't realize that taxes were going to go up in 2026. And it's a definitive, it is happening, right? So that was, to me, that was surprising because I went into it too thinking, everybody's probably aware of this, but they're not. So many of those people, right, Lauren, they come to the workshops.
Oh my gosh. You wouldn't believe people's reactions. I sit back there and I watch and everyone was just like, what? Mm-hmm. What's happening in 2026?
Yeah. Say what?
Say what?
So, Lauren, speaking of which, I don't think we give Lauren enough credit on this podcast at all. I think that she deserves a lot more credit than we give her. So what's really interesting about this is Lauren is the one who plans all of these events. And why don't you speak to the reason why they're planned the way that they are right now? Because anybody can plan events and get somebody to go up and talk about how great their investments are or what they're doing. I've got the next great thing. But you set up these workshops in a way that actually reach the right people that need the help. Why don't you talk about that process a little bit?
Sure. At the beginning of the year, I sit down, we have this big calendar and we all sit down together in our marketing meeting and we go over, what our goals are for the year and, not just the workshops, but a lot of other goals as well. But, each workshop and how it's planned out has a process and, we want people to feel like they're walking into their own home, feel comfortable, be here though to learn too, that, education and wisdom is extremely important. So, we set these up throughout the year, hoping that people want to learn. And, it's been a really great success, I think.
I think so too. And I think you hit the nail on the head. When we're sitting in that office at the beginning of the year and we're planning our marketing strategies, obviously we're a business and we want to make money. The difference is we don't have to be greedy about it. And our primary goal of helping people, that's what happens when we set up these events. And you're just so good at saying, well, this is probably, if we want to help this many people or if we want to get to this specific demographic, because this is where we see a lot of the tax problems, for example, you just rally it off like, well, maybe we need to go here. Maybe we need to send the invitations to this place. Maybe we use social media for this particular event. It's just incredible to me how you're able to kind of take all of these ideas and consolidate them into something so valuable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And where did that come from, right? Is that the bartender in you that just knows how the mixtures work?
I don't know.
It's something special.
It's been great. And I can't say enough about what this company's done for me personally, but it's been a real treat. And so, speaking of that, it's always nice to give back. And so this year we decided on a local charity that we wanted to work with, the Children's Dream Fund. They're based out of St. Pete. This is really special. We get to sponsor, and I don't know if I could say sponsor, but we get to make a child's dream come true. And we are sponsoring this year a little girl in Lehigh. She's 4 years old, and her dream is to go to it's a village, Give the Kids the World Village, and also Disney. But she'd like to, I know you're so excited about the Disney trip.
Love the Disney.
But these are kids that are going through something. They're not technically, specifically terminal, but they have some kind of life-threatening illness.
Right.
And so we put together, hopefully we're going to do an event, a toy drive, things like that. But this is a really special charity that we're trying to, get to this goal for this little girl.
What I love about us is last year, I think, what was our goal for outreach as far as what we wanted to spend?
I think around 25,000.
Yeah, 25. But we
went well over that.
Yeah, we went well over that.
And this year, I think we're already very close to that, and it's February.
So my goal, and again, Lauren's in the weeds. Everybody's in the weeds. I have the overall, architect view of it, of what I eventually want everything to look like. For me, and Kurt and I talk about this a lot, I'll feel good when we get to a point where we can give $100,000.
Oh man, that would be just incredible.
And being as close as we've been, I think last year was pretty close to 50.
Yes, it was.
So we dug into our own coffers a little bit to do that because we want to set aside certain percentages of, obviously everything, total revenue, all that stuff, or net revenue, however Kurt likes to say it, after we pay taxes, right? But, for me, the heart that we have, I love the fact that we're doing this, but to me, it won't be successful until we hit that $100,000 mark. $100,000 going back into the Southwest Florida community, and our families have really gotten behind us too. They've brought us opportunities, but they've also, a lot of them have matched what we're doing, which is nice. And if you're one of our families listening and you have a charity close to your heart that you want to talk about, obviously we do have some criteria. We love it when it involves children, because we feel like that's the best place to hit them, the best place to impact them, the best place to make sure they grow into the people that they should be is, that constant outreach and involvement. And I'm coaching an 8, 9, and 10-year-old flag football team in Cape Coral. And I got kind of looked at funny because, Maverick's 3 and Scarlett's going to turn 2. And I have 2 older kids. So they're like, well, why do you want to do this? I said, well, I play competitive flag football and I play with a lot of these guys that had great opportunities, but weren't able to take advantage of them because of mistakes they might have made, or, not having grades. There was a lot of those stories out there. Tremendous athletes though. So what if we can get to them before all of that, and we can really instill some of this discipline in them?
For a more successful,
Yeah, I do feel like, and I know you do too, I feel like really children are where we're going to make the biggest impact. I don't know about you, Tom, but.
Absolutely. I haven't been blessed with children, but have nieces and nephews I'm very close to. Yeah. And it's great.
Yeah.
And what's great also, I just want to say this, our team, and I know we spoke to this a little bit earlier, but our team is so cohesive, and it's so great having everybody just work together so seamlessly. But I will say, that's another part of our goals every year at Evolution is to have these team building activities.
Yeah.
And I won't, we have a very natural flow here. So it's not,
it's not like we need to do it.
No,
it's just
but
something
it's really great that we get to do those things together. And we have our first one coming up next week, Friday. And, we do our annual Top Golf Day here at Evolution, but we also have some really other great ones. We're doing a wellness day this year.
That's yoga, right? We're doing
for one of our, it's a yoga.
But it's normal yoga. It's not with goats or anything.
No, it's just normal. But, it really is. I think that that's something really important, that we do spend time together, and it's not just, not just work all the time, And
we have had some of our families, some of our clients that have, kind of wanted to tag along in those events, and we've had to very diplomatically tell them, we love you, but this is kind of just for us, so we can be the best team that we can be for you. So,
absolutely.
First of all, want to thank our families for everything that they've done this year. There's been a lot of outreach already for things that they wanted to do. We've had a few of them that wanted to come on the podcast. I'm working through that now. I think it'd be great for some of them to share their experiences, only so that it can help somebody else who might be feeling the same way. We always talk about that transition to retirement, how hard it is to kind of loosen the reins and realize that we're in the distribution phase, right, Tom? So we have to start spending some of that money. How amazed have you been since we've been working with families here that we've been telling people you need to spend more money, right? I mean, how is that? How amazing has that been?
It is amazing. And you can see that they are reluctant because they've been saving their whole life. But yes, every single meeting I've been in or sat in, you need to spend more money, and we have the numbers
to show
give them the confidence
the
to
conservative
do that and
numbers.
Enjoy it. You only get one retirement.
That's right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and Denzel said it best, right? You never see a U-Haul attached to a hearse, right? He always said that. It's great. I used to have a better Denzel voice, but
that wasn't your best.
He's one of my favorites.
That wasn't your best.
I love that guy.
We are Evolution Retirement Services. We are your first and last defense in retirement. Follow us, subscribe to us, taxfreefortmyers.com. Spell it out. Taxfree, FORTMYERS.com. Great events on there coming up. We've got our March 6th Lunch and Learn with Victor Wilkerson from Bison Wealth coming to speak at our event. That'll be at the Hilton Garden Inn starting at 11:30 a.m. This is a great opportunity, for those of you that are part of our Ambassador Club or would like to join our Ambassador Club, for you to bring somebody with you that could really be in need of our services here at Evolution.
That needs the help.
They need the help. Yeah. This is not just my friend wants to come in and have lunch. Right. This is somebody who really could use the help. And
isn't amazing we can say that compared to other firms that are like, bring somebody in, just put bodies in front of us, right? We actually want them to need the help. It's great that we do. I said it before. It's great that we do our ambassador programs and everything. And I know y'all love being a part of that, but try to keep the main thing. These friends or family that you bring in, I want them to be able to find value from what we're doing that day. And, you know, as Lauren said, taxfreefortmyers.com, the book is up there that for you to download. The joke is that my mom's the only one who paid full price for that book because it's the truth. You know, we want to be able to give it away. And I'm trying to explore other podcasts that we can jump on and kind of make sure that everybody has access to it. You know, that's so important to me. I never wanted to make a dime on that thing. And I think if we do make any money, we reinvest it into ordering more of the books for our families, or we try and give some of that to charity, depending on, you know, how much that is. And it's not like I'm an award-winning author or anything, but I think what's important about the book is not who wrote it, but the message that it sends. You know, some of these workshops, we only have 45 minutes to go over this. Speaking of which, come to a workshop. Don't be afraid of what's going to happen. There's no guy there in a fancy blue shirt trying to sell you a timeshare. There's no pressure when you come to our workshop. So come in, see us, listen to what we have to say, spend some time with us afterwards, talk about what you're going through, because that's really what the most important thing is, what you're going through that you feel like you need help with. Don't let the fear of going someplace new or meeting new people stop you from potentially getting help that you really need. And just imagine a world where you can finally rest easy knowing you have the correct little pearls of wisdom that you need to make retirement even better. So I think that's going to about wrap us up. I know we didn't talk too much shop today, but I really felt good about where we're at.
Thank you, Tom, for joining us today. I know it was like, hey, Tom, come on this podcast.
I'm used to it now. Like I said, I've been here a couple of weeks, and
I throw them into the fire all the time. I throw them into the fire all the time. I'm not the best boss, right? I mean, it's just
you're a great boss.
I'm not a boss. We're all in this together, right? And we're all on the boat, and thank God it's not sinking. That's the important thing. So obviously, we want you to come in, want you to have, if you have questions. We didn't have time to get to the questions. I know a lot of you emailed this week. We'll try to get back to those next week. It's just become such a little bit of a juggernaut here. It's been a little bit of an overwhelming response. We want to make sure that we have the time to address all those questions that you had. What's nice is Lauren's kind of categorizing those questions that she gets via email. So if we get kind of the same type of question, we can spend a little bit more time just on one topic rather than bouncing back and forth. So we're trying to organize that. What I really want to do is thank you for all of the questions. Thank you for your involvement. Don't forget the Retirement Evolved podcast, the official shirt, the official apparel is available. All you have to do is email Lauren at evoretire.com.
We've got our first batch coming in.
Yes, ma'am. And it's absolutely free. We just want you to be able to represent one of your favorite shows in retirement. And we're happy to do that. And obviously it's a great marketing opportunity for us because they're going to be like, what's this? And we know how hard it is for you to tune in and listen to us, especially if you're me. I'm trying to find a podcast and it's like impossible. I hear somebody has a podcast and I'm like, oh, let me type that in. And then you got to search for it. So obviously on the Tax Free Fort Myers website, that's your resource. You could just go there and download the latest episodes. So thank you very much for listening. Just go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, follow button, whatever it might be on your device. So that way you get the newest episode. Until we speak again. Well, we're not really speaking until you get to listen to us talk again.
See you later.
See you later. Say bye, Tom.
Bye, Tom.
Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to affect or attempt to affect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities.